the truly unsettling truth about human nature isn't that some people are inherently bad, but that most can be engineered into cruelty if the conditions are precisely calibrated. We like to believe our personal ethics are a shield, an unyielding fortress against malevolence. But what if that shield is a flimsy illusion, easily shattered by the right uniform, the right title, or the right set of instructions? The terrifying reality is that ordinary individuals possess a latent capacity for monstrous acts, just waiting for the system to give permission. Today, you're going to uncover the chilling mechanism behind this transformation, how seemingly insignificant situational power can hijack your personal morality, turning empathy into indifference and principle into passive compliance. Understanding this isn't about identifying evil people out there. It's about recognizing the insidious frameworks that can weaponize anyone, including you, against your own values. It's about seeing the invisible threads of control woven into the fabric of everyday institutions, threads that, once pulled, can unravel the very core of your humanity and the humanity of those around you. This awareness is not a luxury. It is an essential defense against the unseen architects of control. Consider the summer of 1971. At Stanford University, a team of researchers led by Dr. Philip Zimbardo set out to study the psychological effects of becoming a prisoner or a prison guard. They selected 24 psychologically healthy, stable young men, all college students, screened rigorously for any underlying issues. These were, by all accounts, good people. They were randomly assigned roles. 12 became guards, 12 became prisoners. The experiment was designed to last 2 weeks. Within a mere 6 days, it spiraled into an abyss of brutality and psychological torment, forcing an early termination. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was a chilling demonstration of environmental influence. The guards, given symbols of authority, batons, khaki uniforms, reflective sunglasses obscuring their eyes, swiftly adopted their roles. They began issuing arbitrary rules, stripping prisoners of their identities, forcing them into humiliating tasks, and administering punishments that grew increasingly severe. The prisoners, in turn, rapidly succumbed to their assigned helplessness. They became passive, depressed, and traumatized. One prisoner, after only 36 hours, developed such severe emotional disturbance he had to be released. The foundational concept at play here is called de-individuation. This is a psychological state where an individual's sense of personal identity and responsibility is diminished when they are part of a group or take on a specific role. In the Stanford Prison Experiment, the guards wore identical uniforms, obscuring their individuality. Their reflective sunglasses prevented eye contact, further dehumanizing their interactions. They were no longer John or Mark. They were simply guard. The prisoners were stripped of their names, referred to only by numbers, forced into ill-fitting smocks, and denied personal belongings. Every element of their previous identity was systematically eroded. This loss of self-awareness, coupled with the perceived anonymity and the diffusion of responsibility inherent in a group dynamic, allowed actions that would normally be unthinkable for these young men. They weren't bad people. They were simply placed in a context where their personal ethics became secondary to their assigned function. The uniforms weren't just clothing. They were psychological cloaks, empowering aggression and dissolving individual accountability. This wasn't about hidden sadists emerging. It was about the system itself creating the conditions for sadism. Now, you might be thinking, that's an extreme experiment confined to a basement. But the very same mechanics of de-individuation and role-based manipulation play out constantly, undetected in your everyday life. Think about online forums or comment sections. People who would never utter a harsh word to a stranger face-to-face transform into vitriolic aggressors behind the anonymity of a screen and an avatar. They become keyboard warriors, their personal identity blurred, their sense of consequence diminished. The perceived group, whether it's a fan base, a political movement, or a niche community, provides a psychological shield, allowing them to engage in verbal abuse, doxing, and targeted harassment that directly contradicts their real-world moral compass. This isn't just about rudeness, it's about the erosion of empathy facilitated by a digital uniform. Have you ever seen someone you respect behave completely out of character when wearing a specific uniform or badge? This dynamic extends into the workplace. Consider large corporations or government agencies where individuals are assigned highly specialized, often disconnected tasks. An employee might be responsible for one tiny, abstract part of a process that ultimately leads to layoffs, environmental damage, or unethical product launches. They are not the person firing people, they are the person processing paperwork. Their role defines their reality. They clock in, perform their specific function, and clock out, largely insulated from the broader, often negative consequences of their work. They are de-individuated by their job title, their department, the corporate hierarchy. This diffusion of responsibility, described by researchers like Albert Bandura as a form of moral disengagement, allows individuals to bypass their own ethical standards by redefining harmful actions as acceptable. The victim, on the other side, experiences the facelessness of the institution. They are dealing with a company policy, not a human being who has made a conscious choice. One employee might rationalize, "I'm just doing my job." Another might say, "It's out of my hands, it's a corporate decision." Both are operating under the spell of role-based psychological manipulation, effectively divorcing their actions from personal accountability. This happens thousands of times a day. So, how do you recognize and defend against this insidious psychological creep? First, cultivate a radical self-awareness of your roles. Constantly ask yourself, what role am I playing right now? And how might this role be influencing my thoughts and actions? Whether you are a team leader, a customer, a parent, an anonymous commenter, or an activist, each role comes with prescribed behaviors and expectations. Consciously separate your inherent self, your core values and beliefs, from the temporary performance of a role. If you find yourself doing something that feels morally dissonant, pause. Ask if it's genuinely you acting, or if it's the role taking over. This mental step creates a crucial space for ethical reflection before automatic responses take hold. Second, actively seek out and internalize individual accountability. When part of a group or institution, always ask, if I were the only one responsible for this outcome, would I still do it? This isn't about blaming individuals for systemic failures, but about empowering yourself to resist the siren song of diffused responsibility. Make it a personal rule to never allow a uniform, a title, or a group consensus to absolve you of your own moral judgment. Challenge the narrative that it's just policy or everyone else is doing it. Your ethical compass must remain independent, not outsourced to the institution. Speak up, even quietly, when something feels wrong, even if your voice is the only one. Third, practice active empathy and humanization, especially when facing abstract systems or distant consequences. When interacting with an institution, whether you are on the giving or receiving end of its power, deliberately seek to see the individual. If you are a guard, remember the prisoner has a name, a life, and feelings beyond their assigned number. If you are part of a corporate machine, visualize the real people affected by your decisions, even if they are faceless data points on a spreadsheet. Actively resist the urge to depersonalize others, as de-individuation thrives on the removal of individual identity. Recognizing the inherent humanity in every single interaction is a powerful counterforce against the psychological pressure to conform to cruelty. The shocking truth revealed by the Stanford experiment and countless everyday occurrences is that your moral integrity is not a fixed trait. It is a dynamic process, constantly under siege by the forces of situation and role. You now understand that the true battleground for ethics isn't just within your heart, but within the very structures of society. You will now see every uniform, every title, every group dynamic, not just as a symbol, but as a potential trigger for this terrifying psychological shift. You will recognize the subtle ways institutions subtly nudge good people towards complicity. This isn't paranoia, it's a heightened awareness of how fragile human ethics can be under the relentless pressure of power and conformity. You have just pulled back the curtain on one of the most unsettling truths about human nature and institutional manipulation. Now that you've glimpsed the mechanisms of engineered evil, don't look away. There are more layers to unravel, more insidious techniques lurking in plain sight, waiting to be exposed. Stay vigilant.